I'm going to make a good go of installing the floor today. I've got this sort of semi-straight edge on here, so I've got a bit of a rise in the centre. Because of the wedge shape nature of the floor, where it meets along here, I measured up and laser cut, and I really ought to have made the section between here in the front about 25mm longer, but in order to combat that, I've shoved the whole thing that way a little bit, which means that the wedge is a bit wider at the front than it wants to be, but that's not going to affect the way the doors close. So what I'm going to do is cut along here and push that out a little bit, put a little cut there and a little cut there, so that it kind of swells that out a little bit, and then I'll be able to push that piece down a little bit. Just some trimming and cutting and stuff like that to do in order to make this work really nicely. This might be the last time the frame is as bare as this. Just thought I'd get some footage of it, huh? Get the cab back on. It is not a lightweight floor, but then it's not exactly a lightweight truck, is it? Is that supposed to be as loose as that? Oh boy, the things you notice, huh? Guess I definitely have to replace the rear suspension now. Or at least some of it, the bushings maybe. Fuck me. Yeah. So that's the cab refixed to the frame. I have to say I am quite happy about that. Quite nervous with it up on that big table. So now it's time to start straightening things out, huh? Get the floor in, make some measurements. I think I'm going to put some bolts in here in order to get that so it stays in place, and then I can widen it out a little bit. So that's a little cut made in there, and I've widened the framework underneath a bit and then welded up the gap. Had about, I don't know, 2.5, 3 millimeters each side. So this is nice and flush now. I can plug weld those in and that will pull it in with the big grippers. I'm going to put a little cut at the back here as well to allow a bit of relief at the back. And then been watching Half-Ass Customs, and what he always does is he puts a cut down a seam like that and then welds it up. I think that will work well for me here. So when I take this off now, I'll make that cut. Does it need it? Yeah, I think it does. I'll make that cut and do the same thing with the box sections at the back. And I think I want to put a couple more stretchers in there as well. Just see how I get on with that. Also got to lower the frame in the middle because it kind of bows up and it's a bit shit. Right, so making progress. I'm pretty happy with how things are going. Got that floor pretty much straight as I want it to get anyway. Next step, I'm going to go ahead and run the grinder down the parent metal, the original steel of the cab, all the way down there in order to be able to weld the floor into it, the new floor into that. And also I've taken the bolts out of the mounting points on the front because I'm going to drill those holes through, or at least put a pilot. Haven't 100% decided how I'm going to work those yet, but I guess we'll see, huh? So yeah, these little devices, you loosen this off here. Alright, do it before you start filming. Yeah, so you loosen that off, that comes out, you put it in the slot and put the square in underneath, and you can pin your panel into place. I saw these on some other YouTuber's channel and I thought they look pretty cool. They cost about, I don't know, 50 pence off eBay. Yeah, so when I'm going to first start by locating those holes, the original floor had these little saucers, these little cups to recess the fastening bolt into it. So I'm going to see if I can do something with that. I've got a couple ideas on that. That hasn't really worked out how I wanted it to. It's kind of bending and warping things a little bit. So rather than do the same the other side, I think what I'm going to end up doing is using a hole cutter to cut that piece out, and then I'll weld in another part, something else. Okay, so I've got that piece of bar. It's actually solid bar, 50 by 25 I guess, and that's clamped in so it's pushing down on the front edge. And the plan is I'm going to put some welds on the pieces below, a couple of beads on there, and that will fasten it in place. And then I'll keep this here, and then I'm going to cut that bulkhead through exactly the same way as I did the back here, and that'll be the front edge of the floor going in. I don't want to go too heavy with the welding yet, because I want to save the buckling around until later. But you can't say I didn't get good burning. I think I need to reduce the current on the welder a little bit next time. Alright, so that's that front bulkhead cut out. It's opened up to a slightly larger gap than I was anticipating, because I guess it was a little bit under tension when I cut it. So not a lot I can do about that now. I guess I could try and push it down. It'll pull in a little bit when I start to weld it. Gonna get some welds on that next. A little bit of hammer and dolly work required, I think. It's going to look pretty cool though, huh? Done all right today. Got the floor in. That gap closed up quite nicely. I have left some pieces because I'm gonna, like here, I'm gonna cut a patch to go in there. I think I'm gonna do that about the same time as I'm installing the brake pedal and stuff like that, just to make sure that I get that all correct. Where I've got these little pressed features, I need to work on that. Kind of got to the limit of my attention. You might have seen me pressing down on here. It kind of got a little bit of a bend in it from when I did my failed attempt at I say failed attempt, it's done what I expected it to do, but not the way to go with that. So what I'm probably going to do is take a hole saw that out, then roll a piece of steel and have a dropped piece that way, if that makes sense. So just like a little cylinder with a cap on the end of it, so it presents nicely, and then I'll probably 3D print a little cover to go over it. Depends what the final floor covering is going to be, really. So although I've got the back end in as well, quite happy with that. All packed up for another day. Did you hear that smoke detector tweeting? That's one of these in here, and it's been pecking my head all day.